Now, as we come to chapter 2, remember the context. The Thessalonian Christians are still remaining faithful to Christ, but they're suffering persecution. And Paul writes this not so much to give them an agenda for the second coming, although we'd all like to have that, right? We all want our eschatology very neatly put into place, and so we have every answer. But Paul doesn't write it for that purpose. He writes this to encourage them to remain faithful even though things are hard. Okay? So, look at verses 1 and 2 with me. Concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our being gathered to him, we ask you, brothers and sisters, not to become easily unsettled or alarmed by the teaching allegedly from us, whether by a prophecy or by word of mouth or by letter, asserting that the day of the Lord has already come. Paul is writing to them about the second coming of the Lord because some in the church, he says, are becoming unsettled. And that word means shaken. It means to be disturbed. It means to have your world rocked, okay, in our common vernacular today. Rock your world. Well, that word, what was rocking their world was that word was coming to them, reportedly, from Paul, Silas, and Timothy, telling them that the day of the Lord has come. It is at hand. It is present. And apparently, these Thessalonian Christians are being inundated with these supposed teachings of Paul because he says they might come through prophecies. That's people claiming to be spontaneously speaking from God. They might be coming by word of mouth. That's rumor or gossip being passed from one person to another, or by letter. There were pseudepigraphic letters. That just means letters written by somebody and then they attach somebody else's name to it to give it credibility. And so somebody wrote a letter maybe, and they said, oh, this really is from Paul. And so when the Thessalonian Christians got it, oh, this is Paul. We better pay special attention. But it really wasn't from Paul at all. And so he says, written by someone other than Paul, but claiming to be written by Paul, and they were circulating this teaching that the day of the Lord has arrived. The day of the Lord has already come. Now, some say this was a teaching that was affecting other churches in the New Testament times also. Perhaps the background of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, where Paul makes a very strong case for the physical resurrection of the dead and the resurrection of believers and receiving glorified bodies. Some say maybe that was happening in Corinth because there was teaching that the resurrection and glorified bodies were something that's just spiritual and not really physical. You can't really expect this to happen. It's talking about something, metaphysical. So another form of denying the second coming. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 18 says, they say that the resurrection has already taken place and they destroy the faith of some. So this wasn't unique there in Thessalonica. According to early church fathers, many were saying that the resurrection was really what happened when believers had children. Ambrosiaster, in his commentary on 2 Timothy, says, these heretics deny that Christians shall rise in a future life and insist that the resurrection happens in the natural birth of children. So the faith continues on. Your lineage continues on. Theodore of Antioch, in his commentary, said the heretical teaching that about the resurrection is that it happens in the process of natural procreation by which our children succeed us. And Theodoret of Syria wrote, the resurrection has happened according to them, either in children or in Ezekiel's reference to the revivified bodies of the people of Israel in captivity. So it's just such a mind-blowing idea, right? That dead people rise again. That bodies come out of the graves and that their bodies are glorified and that we receive our forever bodies. People were trying to come up with all kinds of other ways of making sense of it. And part of that, apparently, was having an effect on the Christians in Thessalonica. So they were receiving word by word of mouth, by people claiming to prophesy, by letters, not really from Paul, asserting that the day of the Lord has already come. And the concern is that these Thessalonian Christians are being shaken. They're being unsettled by a teaching they are hearing that says the day of the Lord has come. What difference would it make to your faith and your lifestyle if you believed that what you are experiencing right now is the best it will ever be? That there's nothing beyond this? You would lose hope. You'd lose any reason, any motivation, right? Why have faith? Why make this choice instead of that choice? Why deny myself anything? Right? Yeah. So obviously, this was unsettling the believers in Thessalonica because this teaching was coming around, and some of them, it wouldn't unsettle them if they just immediately put it off, right? That's garbage. That doesn't unsettle you. But when you think, maybe there's something to this, could it be?